back, everybody! We flustered Beatrice with an insane argument. And she likes it! Alright, then what about Netsui? Netsui was killed by another person. There are no unidentified corpses and all the survivors have alibis. You can explain it with an indirect murder due to Trap X. Something was done to Netsui's gun. You can explain it that if it was a trap gun built to send off a bullet right into the forehead of anyone who tried to hold it up and shoot. That is true! Throughout all of that chapter, Netsui not once, at any point, shot her gun. That works! The bullet buried into Netsui's forehead was not fired from Netsui's gun. There's a possibility that Netsui was lured out by the letter of an unknown content. That's why we never knew what was inside of it. Then she was called out into the hall. Then she was forced to stand at a specific location at a specific time and murdered by Trap X, which used a gun that would have been installed there beforehand. The first game is ours, 1 out of 4. We won't stop until we have all of them. I hope it's bearable. We have 3 more games to go through, bitch! Oh, please don't make that sound, though. I don't like that sound. That sound nearly made me sick when hearing it over and over in Chapter 2. And speaking of that, let's move on to Chapter 2. Let's start with the first crime. So in the second game, if I remember, the first crime was all the parents save for Rosa. Someone secretly borrowed Maria's key and secretly returned it to Maria's bag after the crime was over. From the time Maria received her key to the instant Rosa unsealed the envelope the next day, the key passed through no one's hands. There's a possibility that the door had an auto lock just like Graham's study. In other words, it was unlocked before the crime with a rock or something wedged into it so it wouldn't close completely. Then they gave the key to Maria. Because the lock was automatic, it's possible to make a theory where the key wasn't needed. No door with an auto lock exists other than Kinzo's study. The victims locked the door from the inside. One of the 6 was the culprit, and this person killed the other 5, then pretended to be dead. 6 people were already dead by the time they were discovered. All were killed by other people. All 6 were genuine victims and did not take part in a mutual murder. There were no simultaneous murders. A human, perhaps Kumasawa, existed with no alibi at the time. If we assume that someone was hiding on the inside, then there are no problems. There was no one hiding in the chapel. By this, a shut-in murder, like you say, does not work. This is going to be the hardest chapter because of all the fucking closed doors. The food they were given had small bombs in it which exploded from the inside of their stomachs. In other words, the crime is possible through Trap X. The details of the bomb that they could have swallowed without noticing and that could blow up in their stomachs is a devil's proof. I refuse to explain. And you know what? That works. Goda was alive at that time. And Goda was one of the last people to die. He was in the closed room along with Jessica, along with George and Shannon. He could have been the murderer the whole time. What? Small bombs? What the fuck? Small bombs? Well, I love how absurd his theory is. Yeah, there were just small fucking bombs inside their fucking food. Okay. Alright, this one is a doozy because Cannon is gone. At the time, yeah, no problems there. The corporate was the one of the servant. They could have used the master key. It's not even a closed room. If Cannon's death was framed with red, then there's no way he was alive. Therefore, there's a chance that the one who attacked the group was in disguise to make the group mistake them for Cannon. They definitely would not mistake any different person for Cannon. Then, just like the heredity of Kinzo's name, there's a possibility that Cannon's name was also inherited by someone. We could suppose that Cannon was killed by a different person succeeding that name, and that person attacked them. She fell down. We threw away our pride on saving our friends a long time ago when you used that against us. For their honor, we will not exclude them as possible candidates for the culprit. You trashed on the dead as if it was nothing. You don't deserve mercy, Beatrice. Everything up to this point has been your fault and your fault alone. Every murder, every sociopathic kill, everything. Beatrice's murders included. Everything was you. And because of that, we will proclaim that witches don't exist by smashing through your deceitful lies. We will restore the honor of the dead, you trample on so many times, over and over and over. And with that, 2 out of the 4 is ours! Suck it, Beatrice! But here comes the big doozy. Chapter 3. Remember, Dr. Nanjo was the thing, but we did theorize that someone under the name Kinzo could have killed him. Considering he was friends with Kinzo, it's possible he was friends with quote-unquote Kinzo. Oh. I just read that. Fuck off. The first 6 linked closed rooms. By all rights, you should have penetrated this closed room the first time, or at the time. But then you killed off Kinzo. By killing off Kinzo, you automatically created a situation where someone who could take the name of Kinzo would just automatically be able to kill everyone. Then at the very end, disposed of the body of the real Kenzo and burning it. Hell, he might have been already dead by that point. There were plenty of people who could have committed the crime besides him. You could even claim that all of the adults there were throughout the family conference were in on the crime. All 5 master keys were discovered by each in the pocket of one of the servants. The individual keys were found inside envelopes alongside the corpses. In short, all keys repeated into the linked closed rooms were locked inside of the linked closed rooms. The keys cannot be returned from the outside of the room using the crack of the door and the crack of the window, vents, or any place of the sort. Then they were killed with poison gas. Even if a key couldn't pass through, gas could. The murder was carried out from outside the closed room. All of them had wounds resembling gunshot wounds which would become fatal. It's impossible for the murderer to have taken place from the outside of the room. I shall say more with the red. When the 5 people other than Kenzo were murdered, the murderer was definitely in the same room. I already proclaimed in red at the time that there were no suicides. After the murder of each person in the respective rooms, the culprit created a linked closed room. But the culprit just couldn't return the key for the last room inside the closed room, no matter what they did. But they were able to return it. The first person to discover the corpse just had to pretend to find the key and show that they didn't pull it out from the pocket of the corpse. I didn't even think about that, Bottler. And that fucking works. If we were to assume that one of the people who weren't dead, supposedly Eva, or at least the first person who discovered all of the dead servants at the time, one of them looked at the corpse, and instead of pulling it out of their pocket, out of the corpse's pocket, they could have pulled it out of their pockets. There's nothing wrong with that. That would mean that all the murders took place. There's no contradiction here. As much as I've given you sympathy all throughout the entire game, you have shown me nothing short of just cruelty. You've stepped beyond the portrait. You've stepped beyond the rules of the game. You've killed so many people just for shits and giggles. You've even decorated the way that you've killed them. So because of that, we are not holding back, even if you have shown us a human side. Truly, you are evil. Because of that, we are not going to step back. This is Beatrice's end. There she goes with Angie again. This isn't playing. This is a fight to the end. A fight to death. Yeah, say that all you want. So because it tickles, you wouldn't mind if we continued on without mercy, wouldn't you? Oh, you just don't know when to shut the fuck up. Also, you can't do that. Only Birkenstow can. Never again, not his family, nor his relatives. This ends here and now. The very last mystery. Murder of Dr. Nanjo. Though it seemed very small at the time, that murder has plagued us and rippled throughout the entire game, causing a very, very solid locked case. Let's see what you got, Butler. I'm counting on you. So here's the question, can Butler do it? It's one of the biggest mysteries in the game besides the epitaph, is how Dr. Nanjo died in terms of human. But, if we were to assume that Kinzo's dead from the very beginning, that one of the culprits named Kinzo could have done it. But if that's not the case, technically, she's right. Beatrice has never died. Everything, the entire Let's Play leads up to this. No sympathy. No mercy. It ends here now. I reformed a little, so forgive me this time. Yeah, fuck off. We're not falling for that again. You keep on coming back to Angie! The 18th Person X was destroyed, so we don't have that. The survivors at that point were him, Eva, Jessica, and Nanjo. All of them were unrelated to Nanjo's murder. And it was also proclaimed that he was murdered directly, right before his eyes. There's no trap. All the people had the strongest alibi, having their deaths proclaimed in red. Without using 18th person, we'll break through this. Next time. Yup! Yup! Doing it here! Don't care! Don't care if it's 19 minutes, 30 seconds! We're ending the video off right here. So in the next episode, we're gonna expose what happened to Dr. Nanjo through Blue Truth and annihilate the Golden Witch of Rokenjima, Beatrice. So until then, guys, I will see you in the next episode.